Do you ever get the feeling that you're being screwed over?
Yes, I do.
We live in a really interesting time. Things today are more expensive than they've ever been before. A lot of people are struggling to make ends meet, but yet at the same time, the stock market is higher than it's ever been, and companies are making more money than ever before. The same is true in the lumber markets and with lumber companies. And I've got some big news about some lumber company mergers that will impact lumber prices and availability, and may also even help explain what's going on in the broader economy. So stick around. We're living in a really interesting time. In fact, many economists are calling the current economy the K economy. And what that means is that different parts of the economy are performing very differently. It all stems back to COVID when there was an economic downturn. And then there was a recovery, but that recovery was not even. Some people and industries recovered very well, and that's the top of the K. Other people and industries have since done very poorly, and that's the bottom of the K. Where you sit in that recovery has a lot to do with who you are. You know, your job, your age, whether you own a home, and other similar factors. If you're older, you own a home, you have stocks, then things are great for you. If you're younger and maybe renting, maybe paying off student debt, or just getting started in your career, it's pretty tough. In fact, I'm really interested in how you see things. How is this economy for you? Are you doing great or are you struggling? Are you on the top part of that K or are you on the bottom part of that K? Leave me a comment and let me know. And I suspect that we're gonna see both sides of that. Now, one really interesting statistic about this economy that was recently gathered by Moody's Analytics is that currently the top earners are accounting for nearly 50% of all US retail spending. In normal times, top income earners do spend a lot, but that number is usually closer to 35% and not the 50% that we're seeing right now. So what does that all mean? Well, two things really. The first is that we're kind of staring off the edge of a cliff. While the bottom income earners are pinching pennies and eating hamburger helper,
I don't know why they call this stuff hamburger helper. It does just fine by itself, huh?
The top 10% of earners are spending because they have a lot of money and they feel secure. Now, if something happens though that impacts home values or the stock market, it wouldn't take much for those people to stop spending, and that could spell disaster for the entire economy. But there's another big story here, and that is the story of large companies and what they're doing in this economy. And to illustrate that, I want to touch on some recent news in the lumber markets. Two large lumber companies, Rayonier and PotlatchDeltic, are going to merge in a deal that's worth $8.2 billion and will make them the second largest lumber producing company in the country after Weyerhaeuser. This merger was announced on the same day that Trump's new 10% lumber tariffs were announced, and both CEOs have said that these lumber tariffs will benefit the new larger company by strengthening domestic demand. The big question though is, what does this mean for consumers? Now, before I answer that question, I want to tell you about this video's sponsor, NOLA Mattress. NOLA is an award-winning mattress brand known for its cooling technology, pressure relief, and long-lasting durability. This is my NOLA mattress, and I love it. I got the NOLA Evolution mattress with the cooling pillow top, and you can definitely feel the quality. One of the things that I love most about NOLA, in addition to being super comfortable, is that all of their mattresses are made to order in the USA, in their facility in Arizona. And they don't contain any fiberglass or harmful chemicals like other mattresses might. Added to that, they'll ship it out to you for free and even give you a 120-night sleep trial to make sure that you really love your new mattress. It's also really easy to set up right out of the box. Just pull it out, carefully cut it open, and then watch it expand. I love my NOLA mattress, and I think you would too. So if you're looking for a new bed, head to nolamattress.com/DIY with Dave and use my code DIY with Dave to get an extra $50 off your own NOLA mattress. And thanks again to NOLA Mattress for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it. So as I was saying, two very large lumber companies merged, and it's going to have a significant impact on the lumber industry and on lumber prices. So again, this merger combines Rayonier, which is really more of a real estate company that owns a ton of timberland, with PotlatchDeltic, which is a lumber producing company that owns 7 large sawmills. Now, there is a concept in economics called the industry lifecycle. And it really just illustrates the different stages in the lifespan of an industry, any industry. All industries first start out in an introduction phase. This is a new industry. Maybe it's a new technology or a new area, a new geography. There's a lot of innovation and a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs who are creating businesses to take advantage of it. Lumber is one of the nation's oldest industries, and so it's been a really long time since it was in that stage, but the cycle can repeat after disruptions caused by major events like market crashes or new technologies. A better example of an industry that's currently in this phase would be AI. The next phase in the industry life cycle is the growth phase. This is where over time these companies grow and a lot of new companies get started, and there's a lot of innovation and a lot of competition. This is where the AI industry is headed. Over time though, a handful of important players become apparent, and then they compete with each other in order to gain market share. Weaker companies then go out of business or are acquired by larger players in a phase that's called the shakeout stage. The electric vehicle market is currently in this stage as a lot of smaller EV companies have gone out of business and only a few large players remain. The next phase is the maturity phase, where there are a few dominant firms that control the industry and there are high barriers to entry. Also at this stage, there's a focus on efficiency, cost control, and there tends to be little innovation. This is where the US lumber industry is currently sitting. There are a few large operators, and most of the smaller guys have either gone out of business or been acquired. The problem with the maturity stage is that there is reduced competition and there's less pressure for companies to innovate or lower their prices. Also, companies at this stage are able to raise prices without fear of losing customers to competitors, and price fixing or tacit collusion becomes more likely simply because there are fewer players to compete with. This kind of industry is called an oligopoly, and lumber is not the only example of this. There are only a handful of airlines. There's only a handful of beverage companies. There's only a handful of media companies, and a lot of those media companies have been consolidated a lot recently. Banks are another industry that's quickly headed down the same path. In 1980, there were around 14,500 FDIC-insured banks in the country. Today, there's less than 4,000. In some ways, that can be good. Bigger companies have economies of scale. Bigger banks can often offer more services, but it can also cause a lot of problems. This merger creates a really large company that can compete with the likes of Weyerhaeuser, which is the largest lumber company in the US and also owns 10.5 million acres of timberland. For these two companies, this merger definitely makes sense, and it will allow them to capitalize on some synergies and also probably reduce their costs and overall make more money. But is this merger by these two large companies good for consumers? Probably not. Is it going to decrease lumber prices? Probably not. Is it going to increase the quality of lumber? Also, probably not. Is it going to make the owners of both of these companies super rich? Definitely yes. Will there be more lumber company mergers in the future? Probably yes. And here's the big question. Does a merger like this create a problem for us as consumers? The short answer is yes. As more companies get bought out or merge, a few things happen. First, there is less competition, and that means that companies may avoid aggressive pricing or innovation just to maintain profits, which means that consumers pay more and innovation stagnates. Next, there are barriers to entry. It would be really, really difficult for a small lumber company to take on a company this large that has a bunch of mills and tons of timberland. Large companies like this also tend to be very successful in lobbying the government for policies that benefit them and damage their competition or potential competition. The bigger these companies are, the more power and influence they have. One of the biggest reasons why lumber tariffs have been in place since the 1980s has a lot to do with the lobbying that's done by these large lumber companies. Now, this video isn't really just about lumber companies. It's also about our current economy as a whole. And it seems to me that nearly every industry is headed in the same direction. Everything is consolidating, and the biggest companies are only getting bigger. And that can cause some disastrous impacts to us as consumers in the form of higher prices, lower quality, and lower customer service, among other things. There's one last stage in the industry life cycle, and that is the stage of decline or renewal. This is where companies consolidate further until there's some sort of disruption. That disruption could come from new technologies, or it could come from a market crash, Or it could come from government action, like when the Standard Oil monopoly was broken up into 33 different companies in the early 1900s. Then the cycle starts all over again. Here's the thing though. The current administration has no interest in breaking up large companies, either through pressure, regulations, or direct government action. And so this whole pattern will only get worse, and these companies will get bigger and bigger, amass more and more power and influence, and really make life worse for all of us. But here's the funny thing about all this, and that is that most of the time when monopolies or large companies get broken up, the new companies separately become much more valuable individually than the huge company ever was. It happened with Standard Oil Company, and even more recently with GE when it split up into a bunch of smaller companies. These smaller companies are easier to manage. They're able to innovate. They're more nimble. But the power of the people at the top is diluted, which is why I think that many of them don't want to break up. Those people don't want to give up that power. So tell me about some of the industries that you work in or that you're familiar with. What stage of the industry cycle are you currently in? I'd love to hear about your experiences and the places that you've worked and the things that you've seen. Also, what are your thoughts on large companies? Do you see the value in large companies, or do you think that they cause more problems than they solve? And maybe they should be broken up? Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out my other videos, and I'll see you in the next one.